Oh, hey guys.
Since his comic book debut in 1940, Joker has probably been one of the most magnetizing villains ever to bless our pages and the silver screen. His unhinged yet alluring insanity leaves us with character portrayals of electrifying psychopathy.
Are you sweet talking me?
Most of the time. And with the Joker literally personifying chaos in a way that's rarely seen anywhere else, we live vicariously through him, as he gives into his primal instincts and raging madness. However, it's his extreme mania that, for the most part, often leaves me thinking that Joker doesn't really fall into any philosophy. Until I saw this Joker. Because this Joker seems to follow the philosophy of absurdism. Absurdism says that our entire existence is absurd. What I mean by that is, we humans have an undeniable urge to find meaning in a world that is meaningless. We're rational beings trying to make sense of an irrational world. Everything that happens is random, and not preordained nor God's plan. There's no greater meaning to our lives, and any attempt to find meaning is absurd. At first, this philosophy sounds rather depressing and hopeless, especially when tied to Joker's persona. But the realization of an absurd world to the absurd man, which is paralleled by Arthur Fleck's transformation into Joker, is what actually frees us to live our life most fully. This is best summed up in one of the most monumental moments in the film.
I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize it's a comedy.
Savage. Absurdism teaches us that upon realizing the absurdity of the world, you can either live with it or escape from it by following one of three distinct paths. The first path of escape, the leap of faith, is to deny the absurdity of the world by attributing false meaning through a set of man-made values and beliefs. A good example is religion, which often tells us what we do in this life determines what happens in the next, therefore giving our lives purpose and meaning. The only problem is that it doesn't really address the absurdity of reality, and goes against our actual experiences. This is what we call philosophical suicide, in that we ignore our own rationale and put faith in something that doesn't really make sense to us at all. And eventually, our faith falters and loses all merit, leaving us utterly broken and bemused. We see Arthur experience this as he attempts to find happiness in a city drowning in darkness, placing faith in a system that's supposed to take care of him. Really, all he wants is to be loved and accepted by anyone, I guess, believing that conforming to society's rules will help achieve this. The only problem is his faith is dearly misplaced in a broken Gotham City. No one is civil anymore.
Nobody's civil anymore!
See? People want nothing to do with him. Slowly, his faith and optimism cracks under the truth of reality. That this cruel and unrelenting world will punish anyone, no matter who you are or what you've done. Eventually, Arthur's world implodes with a culmination of four major reality-shattering moments. 1. The reveal that his idol, Murray Franklin, is actually a dick. 2. That Thomas Wayne isn't his biological father. 3. That his mother never loved him and actually abused him. And 4. That his intimate relationship with his neighbour Sophie is entirely in his head. This complete and utter destruction of his faith, combined with the clear suppression of the true nature of his being, is why this path fails to adhere to a world of absurdity, and often leads people, as it does with Arthur, towards the second path of escape: suicide. Unlike philosophical suicide, however, this path is both radical and absolute. I mean, you just die. Which is why it's obviously not accepted as a solution to absurdism either. You're just denying that the world is indeed absurd by trying to escape from it. Thus, Arthur goes from contemplating suicide to realizing that this death wouldn't actually make any more sense than his life as he'd hoped. In fact, nothing in his world makes any sense at all. I mean, why would a city care for the privileged and not the poor?
If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me. I pass you every day and you don't notice me. But these guys, what, because Thomas Wayne went and cried about them on TV?
It's this baffling disregard for Gotham's underprivileged that leads him to believe that comedy and morality are both subjective.
Comedy is subjective, Murray. Isn't that what they say? All of you, the system that knows so much, you decide what's right or wrong the same way that you decide what's funny or not.
And finally, he realizes he's been trying to live rationally in an irrational world. So, he finally embraces the third path of acceptance. The world is absurd. No one can tell him what's wrong or right, because there's no inherent rules or meaning to this world. Crazy, insane, they're just labels. Medication, therapy, they're the only thing stopping Arthur from really existing.
I stopped taking my medication. I feel a lot better now.
And as he witnesses others embrace the chaos he's created, literally shown by the hordes of clowns flooding the city, he realizes he's not alone.
People are starting to notice.
And it's at this moment that Arthur becomes Joker and transcends into what is referred to as the absurd hero. The absurd hero lives life to the fullest, despite knowing the absurdity of existence itself, whilst embodying the three defining characteristics of revolution, freedom, and passion. Revolution refers to the idea that we must constantly revolt against the absurd. This means that although we understand that life is meaningless, that death is unavoidable, and that defeat is by all accounts inevitable, one must still find meaning in existence itself. In turn, the absurd hero gains complete clarity in what they truly wish to do with their time in this world.
I'm just trying to make people laugh.
The second characteristic, freedom, is found in the rejection of hope. The idea that one day we'll all find happiness and be free from the struggles of this world. The absurd hero understands that there is no salvation, nor transcending death, and that we are already free in every moment, inevitably leaving us to completely experience life as it is. The third and final characteristic, passion, refers to living life as fully as possible, as opposed to as good as possible, because the concept of good is subjective and restricts us from attaining complete freedom. Therefore, the absurd hero must find meaning and enjoyment in existence itself without worry for good or bad. These three defining attributes of the absurd hero can best be explained through the myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus is a king in Greek mythology who's condemned to forever roll a boulder up a mountain, only to have it fall all the way back down, every time. This eternal struggle can be seen as completely irrational and meaningless. However, Sisyphus knows that this is his life now, and that there is no hope of salvation. So he continues to push the boulder with passion, over and over, forever revolting against the absurd. This awareness means he's the master of his own fate, and that despite his eternal condemnation, he is truly free. We see this parallel in Arthur's transcendence into Joker, as we witness him embrace the absurd at the end of the film. He's completely aware of the hopelessness of his life, but refuses to give in to suicide, instead bathing in the chaotic but true nature of his actions and whatever consequences they may hold. In the end, the Joker boils this entire absurd existence down to one thing.
My life is nothing but a comedy.
And with that, he too is truly free. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments.